Alright. There we go. I only knew the names of the front, so I'm just trying to. Oh, you moved up front, yeah. Promoted. Dan. I'm back here. I know that. Oh, y'all spell it out too. Yes, I got it. All right, all right. Good team.
Go us.
Go us. All right.
Welcome back to the Jade Moore Union Hall for our next round of bargaining. And 7 or 8 more. Get there.
To shoot daggers. Do you want to say my friend? So great.
I was looking through the amazing summary that Nina was put together. And on page 3, you all have several things that you were bringing.
So your 3 maybe, you give us the article number, so we.
You had district has language to provide for Article 14.
Yep.
18.
Yep.
21.
Yep.
And something about the signature on school schedule, but you got those 3 to start, 14, 18, and 21.
Right. So the Article 14 is professional learning. You should have that. Just ask Cheryl.
Half a dozen.
Not really different from we discussed before, we just put that the one trade day may be rolled over to the following school year. Was one that Tracy you spoke about quite a bit. Even though she doesn't, we didn't try to put someone on the last day. I remember that on the last day.
I used to take them all the time.
So we added that and that one can be rolled. Okay, yeah. Oh. Why is that say 14F, but it's E? It says C.
Right, I got the ad when you did the ad.
This is the last
Oh,
one.
I just. Ink is a C.
Are they gonna type here, are they gonna put it in this? When they're talking about the mandated. I just, but it is E, it was, so why is this not being any longer?
They wanted that as three, I think. Because we have 1, 2, 2. No, 1, 2. Just correct, the trees are functions of redlining, we can just correct it. But I want the last line to be very clear. Right, absolutely.
No.
So we can change however you want it. If this is 1, 2, that should be 3. I don't know why that says right like that. So verify the best guess.
I do have one question right off the bat. And in, E, well, it's hard to figure it out here. Where it says the parties agree to continue for trade days, that paragraph. And then the paragraph underneath says instructional staff members participating. Is E been totally eliminated? There's a line through.
No, it's a
the
scrivener.
I apparently couldn't get that out, so just A and E,
D, and the next one is
and then
F.
F, that automatically changed it,
Yeah.
redlining.
You do that stuff.
Yeah.
That's been once.
And actually, the ones above that would be 1 and 2.
1, 2, and
Says
3.
1, 2, 2.
All right, then that brings, my question. In, item E, a maximum of 2 trade days may be earned and traded over the course of the year. And then, 1 trade day of time may be rolled over in the following year. And in the next paragraph, it says a third trade day to be traded over the course of the year. 25, 26, 26, 27. Sunsetting on June 30th of 27. So the third trade day,
That's a trial that we're gonna look to see, because we have to collect data on there, so the 2 trade days are there. You, I believe, had asked for a third previously, so we put the third in there. But that'll sunset, we wanna look at the data over the next couple of years, the 2 trade days are there. So a third one we put in F.
So we kept them separate because the 2, we've negotiated, we've asked for a third. We put it separate saying we'll give a third, but we're trying this out. We worked hard to get it out and now we're looking at putting it back in. And so,
Kim, oh, excuse me. Age is catching up. But if it's just a 3-year contract and we're gonna go 2 years, why can't we just go to the 3rd year and collect the data from the entire contract? Or are we going 2/3 of the way there?
Yeah, Lee, can we just table that one for now? I want to talk to everybody about that one when we caucus.
Sure. And is the ESE and reading mandate in this? The state mandates?
Where would you want to put that in there? We'll see if mandates have changed all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't normally put that, I don't think, in there.
Yeah, I definitely would like to.
So you're asking to caucus on these things?
Yeah.
So. Article 18. You should have had that in your folder previously, that was district transfers, there's. In your green folder that we gave you. That one presented on 8/19.
This says 820. Do we don't know if it's all-
So we have rejected. The protection of critical responsibilities before. The only thing that we have in there is number 3. We spelled out now it's continuous. You took that piece consideration, it does not conflict, and then we had previously agreed to taking out the racial composition. And then.
We cleaned up language at the end. I think we've already agreed to the last two.
So that was.
And we'd like to change the colors on that.
Thing and teacher assignments under 21, if you'll flip to the back page that I can give you. We've talked about this one a couple of times.
I think we talked about to the extent possible, teachers will be notified of their subject and grade level assignment prior to the time the district transfer window opens, which, I mean, that should happen with every possibility. If you don't like your assignment, you should have the opportunity to move. We know some things change, so we can't put in there that it will always happen, but it's best practice. On the back page, if a classroom is to be moved, there should be a comment. Every effort will be made to provide a minimum of 2 days notification in advance to pack and prepare for the new classroom. Teachers will be provided with boxes for classroom items, and teachers will be responsible for packing their classroom, but will not be required to move those items. And again, best practice. I mean, the last thing we need workers' comp cases because people are trying to lift boxes that are too heavy. So I know most schools, I know at my school, we would put Bryant and then the new room you're going to and have the boxes right there, and then they would be moved for you. So that's definitely a practice we're going to encourage that our principals all follow, even when a teacher says, I got it, I'll move them. Really, we have staff to do that, and
And
that's
some
how
of us,
accidents happen.
some of us overestimate our abilities, just so you know.
That's why we should take it out of your hands.
Yeah, some of us are accident. You trip over a shadow.
He's not lying.
And we're getting up one of the life group, we're gonna focus on this from 2 things. Holy, 38, 36.
Yep.
Oh, is it our turn? Supplement committee.
We did 3, you could do 1, then come back to us.
All right.
We're over 3, so maybe you don't want to vote at one.
Or is that an updated one from the previous one?
Yes. Just a simple little thing, that's flip flopping back and forth between teachers and teacher and employee. I just try to make it uniform throughout the yard. Just sort of that goes. But
But then we on the bottom, we change from employees to educators.
then I only go back. The bottom of which one?
Third page, number 2.
Yeah. Good employee. Employee perfection, I mean,
So on number 6, you're saying OPS meets with a teacher. The next day they have to notify them. If they don't have a decision each day, they have to.
No. No. If you have made a decision, you need to let that employee know. And if you have not reached the decision after 10 days, you need to reach back out to the employee and say, hey, listen, we understand we're still working on this. So that the employee's not just sitting there blowing in the wind, not knowing what's going on. But once they've made the decision, they should let that employee know as soon as they can. Now, I don't know if back page is supposed to be 2 words, but the editor told me it's 1 word, so.
Pretty fast, we'll both focus on everything presented and come back. I have questions for the team, so. I mean, obviously, the employee, teacher, trying to be consistent, is fine. The rest of it, we'll just talk about. That's 36. But we're ready to do one, if you're okay, we're gonna do 34.
Sure.
You should have the article. We've got some updated language there as well.
Let's take it out, let's take it out. It is, I can choose.
Two things. First, the article 34 from before. Note that if you previous supplement handbook, I talked to Lee about this last week. The teacher during planning period agreement to pay 12% if they're teaching an extra class, or 14% if they're teaching an extra class in 8 or 7 period days. We actually moved that from the supplement handbook back over to the article where it belongs. And then in the article alone, what Dina just passed out, or excuse me, is the back page of the supplement. So the supplement handbook met multiple times. We got together even as recently as last week to take a look at that. There are changes in the appendix of the supplement handbook, really twofold. I commend the group on spending a lot of time on making sure that we're able to boost and increase the amount of the total supplement. And many of the supplements, if not all of the supplements, due to a referendum being set aside for this. So the way the appendix is set up now is the base, which was set up from a year ago, which really didn't change this year. The additional component of referendum being added in, and then the total supplement, which is part of appendix B, which the subcommittee worked on. What Dina passed out is the last page of that appendix, which speaks to the supplement for additional work specific to IB, CAC, PCTA, which has been in for quite some time. talks about the 14% compensation for additional duties and responsibilities listed sunsetting on June 30th, 2026. Was the recommendation from the subcommittee. Beginning in the 26-27 school year, teachers that are already receiving that supplement at St. Pete High School, Palm Harbor, Lakewood, Gibbs, Largo, and Tarpon Springs for the Leadership Conservatory would continue that 14% supplement. However, it would be prorated on a percent based on how many classes they have assigned to a particular program. So a teacher with 5 or 6 sections assigned to the IB, PCTA, CAT, or the Leadership Conservatory would maintain a 14% supplement. And you'll see that if it's 3 or 4 sections, which is the middle of the schedule, it would be a 10% base salary supplement, or 1 or 2 sections would be 5%. We felt it was important, the committee pulled that together because these supplements were designed for full-time folks in these programs. And we somehow got into making sure that we were compensating full-time for people that have partial schedule. So we felt like it was important to put that in for 26-27. And while this will sunset for people as they leave or grandfathered in for the program, there will be opportunities for people to join into an IB program or PCCA or Leadership Conservatory. That's section B, as you see. And for new employees, it's going to be at a flat rate based on how many sections they have. And that would be, again, for the 3 IB schools of St. Pete, Palm Harbor, Largo, PCCA for Gibbs, and Tarpon Springs for the Leadership Conservatory. So for new employees to those programs, 6 or more sections would be a $4,000 supplement to be paid in 2 equals halfway through semester 1, half in semester 2. 4 or 5 sections would be 3,000, 2 or 3 sections would be 2,000, and teaching 1 section would be 1,000. Put it more in line with the remainder of the appendix B of the supplement handbook. So I appreciate the time and work of the committee and Lee and your group for working alongside that to try to get something that's more in line with the remainder of the handbook.
That's going to take a lot of discussion on our part. So I think we're reaching a point where it's caucus time for everybody.
I just want to add on this. We did a thorough review of schedules. And maybe Dina's teaching 6 sections of IB at a school and she's making an extra 14%. I'm teaching 1 section and I'm getting 14%. So I think the intent of the language, it says very clearly it's supposed to be full-time. And so that none of us were here. I don't know how that got out of any controls, but it clearly has. And, you know, not picking on programs, they're great. I love CAT. It's a great program. And the assistant principal and principal are working really hard to build that. But that program started when we had no other magnet programs. And so there was a reason why we wrote language in there was to build a program and to get the best teachers to go and kids to want to go. Now all of our schools have programs. And so our language says this program is compensated, but the 50 other programs are not. So we in no way are negative toward the teachers that are doing this. But we also have to look at what was the reason we wrote this language. It's been in here, I think, for 20 years, Lori. 20 years. We are a much different district and have much different programs than we did at that time. And so there was a lot of thought behind this. It really, just to be very clear, is not anything derogatory toward these programs, but it is not fair to employees across our district. And that's really, and so not to harm the people that are currently in that, to recognize that that's happened. They signed on, they've been getting that, but starting fresh when people go into the program, saying it's not the same when you teach 6 sections of something as you teach 1. And that's really why we wrote the language the way we did. Do we want to present everything that's left and then caucus, or caucus now?
I think we need to caucus now. There's a lot there.
One more, this is Article 13.
Just, we'll do it.
And we've gone back and forth on this.
Let's just go ahead and make it a quintella and promise on the school side.
Okay.
Then you know, 24, 34, 36.
Yeah. 21.
So 34 is your supplement, is your supplement.
Oh, okay, just saying, yes, that's. Then.
For each. What do you need, like? You have 13? Here.
So. Everything.
Oh, really?
No. All right. We want to stop at the start of the top of this page. And so 13, then 14, then 18, on down. So, Tracy had a point to bring up on, 13 on student discipline.
So my question is at on the last part, on part H. I know that, teachers are able to put the, like request certain consequences be given to a student, like to give their feedback on the referral. If we put that feedback in the referral, then will we be able to, even if it's not my student? So back to like, I have a split class up and now I'm watching another student. Will I have access to see that process referral, even if it's not my student, so I can see the consequences that were provided to that student?
Yeah, no. You can, and that's because FERPA doesn't allow, what you could do is ask your administrator to show you that information.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna have access to students that aren't yours. So the language that we've proposed says that you have access. And to the extent allowable under applicable law, it's viewable by you. So if they're your students, you will have access to see the outcome of the consequence. If it's not your student, you just have to ask your administrator to tell you what that is. You don't have unfettered access to people who aren't your
But
students.
Tracy, you still have the same rights. You still have the right to say what you requested to be. You still have the right to have a conversation, have them explain. You don't lose any of those. And the reason we wrote it this way is if the law changes, then we'll follow the law. But right now, it says you have access to students assigned to you. But it doesn't take away, if I write it on Dina and she's not my student, I still have the right to put down what I'd like to see happen. And then if the administrator doesn't follow that, I still have the same rights to the following conversation.
So basically, the teacher would just need to be following up with the administrator to find
Ask for a
out.
printed copy of the discipline. They can print out what's in the system, what's gone in there on that child.
But so like, one of the things that has a red line through it says, if requested by the teacher, the disciplinary consequences given by the administrator will be communicated to the teacher within a reasonable time after processing the referral.
That's the law now, so we just, it's just not in there because that's statute.
Part of the referral process that put in already.
Remember, we talked about how that's actually on the referral, that line.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
the
in,
place on, I'm sorry, I just wanna make sure I fully understand. The place on the referrals where the teacher gives their feedback as to what they think is the like what would be a fair consequence, correct? So what we're saying is if requested by the teacher. The disciplinary, so in other words, like, I could come to you, and I could say, Ms. Woodford, what consequence did you give to the student?
That's statute.
You can see it, it's your own kid, you can see it anyway.
so two places it
But if
says
it's
that.
not my student, then what I wouldn't be.
You still have that right. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Tracy, there's a place in the statute, 1015.05, 1F, and it says that the teacher has a right to request and receive information relating to the disposition of any referrals to administration for a violation of classroom rules of conduct or school rules. There's also a place in the statute 1003-32-3 that says the principal shall notify the teacher of any decision regarding discipline or lack thereof and interventions provided to a student to address the behavior. If the principal deviates in any way from the teacher's recommendation, the principal must provide the reasons for any such deviation in writing to the teacher. So it's already covered. And that's why we think the language proposed is sufficient. We just put in to the extent of, allowed under applicable law.
That's been in effect, what, 3 years?
I just have a formatting question on here. On A, where it says, teachers will enter the discipline referrals directly onto the electronic platform. Tracy, can Tracy still enter a referral onto a student that's not hers?
I
No,
reported, before, but she doesn't have access to pull it up and focus that.
Okay, so how does A match with H?
because it says for their students.
Oh, I see. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, current students. Okay.
For their own students, yeah.
Okay.
So we just use the paper referrals for the other.
No,
And
I guess many of the schools are using electronically, so you would have an administrator enter for if they're not your student.
Whatever your school sets up for those cases is allowable. It could be paper, it could be you come in while they enter it. Some of them made like a mock electronic referral that people fill out and send it in, and then they put it in the system. So every school has a different system for it.
So it's like based procedure.
Because some schools don't have any coaches or any extra people they don't have as many extra staff that are writing referrals. And so their system might be a lot more simple than a school like yours, where there's a lot of extra people.
teachers will enter the discipline referrals directly into the electronic platform. I want to make sure that that's out there, because I'm already hearing from teachers whose administrators are telling them that they do not have to enter it, that they will take care of it. And that's not what I'm reading in the contract. So I just want to make sure that it's being heard, that you will enter it in the electronic referral system. It will be used. I'm already getting kickback from some schools. Where they're, and we know that by doing this, we will have a better track on what's going on in the schools. And that's part of the problem is, historically, some schools have tried to hide the discipline. And by doing this, it will be harder to hide the discipline problems. We will be able to expose the discipline problems and then be able to remedy the discipline problems.
We
that are
even
out there.
added minor infractions in the electronic system so that there weren't, I mean, those were added this year,
I saw that, yeah.
so.
I just want to make sure that people understand, by doing this, we can find out where the problems are and then address the problems. So I'm willing to sign this as,
On the new referral system, there's a part on that you need to have minor referral or minor infractions prior to putting in a major referral.
that was fixed.
That was
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it was fixed. Thanks to our wonderful,
Thank you, Tracy.
dogged and determined, and the amazing Dr. Hunt, and all of the work that went into it. Beautiful. You're the best.
I'm gonna take 14. We reviewed through all 14 and we had, a couple suggestions and a little bit of concern on 14. So in our latest, number 14, article 14 is our professional learning article. In our latest version, where we're coming down and we redlined across and we are at, the very bottom where it is now at, with the instructional members. We would like to have the trade day to be traded over the course of the 25-26 and the 26-27 school year, the third trade day. With this article being now labeled as 14F to be moved up below 14E, but separated from the other part of that article that you wrote.
So instead of an E and an F, it's all an E
It would
with
be
a
a-
little gap.
It would be an E, F, and a G. Okay? So the G would now be instructional staff members participating in professional development outside the contract hours. You having read when mandated in writing by the supervisor, we have a concern about that. Will be paid $22.50 an hour. Our contract language says that they're going to be paid $22.50 an hour. Our professional learning is taken outside the contract day. Strong language that we have in there. We recognize that you have a robust professional learning department, and we appreciate the professional learning has been offered. We feel that we have offered a cap, and we've requested some cost outs on this, knowing that there's concerns with the amount of money that's going out for the professional learning. So you would give us a cost out using the maximum number of employees times the maximum number of hours at 37.5 that we offered. We had requested that we have a cost out of the number of people who take training over the summer times the number of hours. And then the number of employees that take mandated training such as youth mental health first aid. And then additional hours, a total, so that we can know. We offered 37.5 hours. We want to know if people are going over that now. So we are willing to consider still a cap on the number of hours, which I believe would be a mid-range on what we have now, which is paid training outside the contract day. But we would like you to reconsider the rejection on that because you cost out using maximum numbers and recost out and come back to the table with that so that we could go back for it. We are interested in maintaining the third trade day with the rollover, free hanging, so that if it does sunset and it's removed, it doesn't impact any of the other parts of the article. And we can write that up and submit it to you.
You can write it up. I mean, I think we feel as a group collectively, this is our offer. We'll look at it, but this might be one that we just have to agree we're not gonna go there on, but we'll look at it.
And that's fine.
Uh, we asked at one time to include the elected union lead rep at the school as part of the protected list for district transfer process.
We rejected that.
You did reject that, but my concern is if you're going to reject that, then I'm looking at the list because Article 18 said it's for curricular responsibilities, the identification and protection of essential ongoing supplemental responsibilities, protection of critical curricular responsibilities. And I'm looking at the list of major protected positions. And the protected positions are head football coach, head basketball coach, head baseball coach, head softball coach, head golf coach, head wrestling coach, head track coach, head cross country coach, head tennis coach, head volleyball coach, head swimming coach, and assistant varsity football coach. Along with band, high school and middle, chorus, high school and middle, the varsity cheerleaders, the junior varsity cheerleaders, the senior class sponsor, the junior class sponsor, the high school drama teacher, the elementary school safety patrol, which I believe is the only elementary position here, combined drama and forensics, student government, the avid site team lead. All of these are not exactly critical curricular responsibilities. And if the reason,
Well, there's an A, B, and C there. Right?
I don't see C.
Oh, I'm sorry, C was your proposal.
Yes.
There's an A and a B.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we're not willing to protect and subject to, and I heard the argument that the union is political. But I'm also concerned with the idea that the union is there to represent the members of the school and they are elected. These positions are not elected positions. The lead rep is elected by the members of the union at that school. It is a democratic process. We're protecting from critical curricular responsibilities the assistant varsity football coach, the track coach, the cross country coach. If we're not willing to include someone who is and may be targeted by an administrator for representing the members of the PCTA, and so many people over my years have said, I would be a rep, but I'm scared of the administrator. I would be the lead rep, but I'm worried about being targeted. If we're not willing to protect them from the possibility of being targeted during a transfer period, then I'm wondering where the value is in protecting the junior varsity cheerleader coach as a critical curricular responsibility.
Well, you're reading B, but not A. However, a couple thoughts here, Lee. One, you know where this came about. I lose a unit, you're low man, now I have no football team at a high school. That's not something someone can randomly step up and do. And so in order for a high school to function and have all those things that draw our kids in, and I will say, especially now with choice, athletics is a big draw into the district. However, I don't disagree that there are some things on here, and we mentioned it in the group, that probably don't need to be on there, and our list needs to be shorter rather than longer. And that is, you know, a supplement group of something we discuss.
That was my other key.
But I will say it needs to get smaller, not longer. As our schools get smaller, I'm not gonna have anybody that I can displace if I keep adding to the list. But a lot of the list comes into play because of our high schools running. But I will say as a secondary and elementary principals, I'm not sure why safety patrol is on there. Quite honestly, you get quite a few people to step up and do safety patrol, and it doesn't require such a skill as being a coach on some of our teams and the commitment. So we would be willing to look at the list in its entirety, but not willing to add something else to it at this point. No, it needs to get smaller.
These are all supplemented positions. I mean, every one of these gets extra money to do the job.
And I think the list can get smaller and we can still add one protected class. And it still is much smaller than it was after. We can do both things, I think.
Possibly. But I'm not willing to add anything without looking at that list. And I am still gonna go back to, these all are a unique function at the school versus being a union rep. It is very different. And I'm not saying it's not critical, but these are positions that keep the school functioning and offer things to students. These are student focused, where the union is adult focused, making sure the contracts follow. So we supplement for things that impact the kids and not necessarily the things that are impacting the adults. But as I said before, we reject adding that. If you want to reach out to Mr. Vigio or Ms. Collins and pull a team together and have conversation, I will tell you, we haven't used this list to save people in a really long time. I think this was the first year because we had such drastic reductions, but it's not a list we normally even have to go to.
So we don't have someone.
Checking the
positions.
handbook, I think they're all in the supplement B handbook. Look it through the one-offs and
All of some,
all of them.
all of them.
They are all student focused.
But not all curricular,
That's B, not A.
and A and B are both in there.
Well, the supplement covers both of those.
So they're being paid and they're being protected.
Lee, you and I both know how much work some of those positions
I
are.
do. I don't know anyone who works harder, no offense to anybody, than a high school band director.
The hours involved, and it directly goes back to kids, so we're protecting a position that goes back to children. I think it's a much harder sell to say we're protecting a position that doesn't directly go back on to children. And I'm not saying the teachers don't, but the position does not. It's about enforcement of a contract. It's about supporting the teachers.
If we can, yeah, I think that's up to you to pare down the list. That's not anything I have anything to do with. I was advocating for my
That's a
members,
supplement committee, correct?
not protected position thing.
Not.
All right, I'm gonna take it as it is then.
What number was that, Blake?
That was 18.
We might use a computer. Thing, it's not. Yeah, it's not bad.
Right, the teacher assignments, Article 21. I'm gonna turn that over to the lovely and talented, Ms. Tracy McConnell.
So first, I wanna say, like, I really appreciate the fact that you guys recognize about the classroom moves towards the end of the school year. With if a classroom is to be moved, every effort, including made to provide a minimum of 2 days notification in advance to pack and prepare for the new classroom, and that teachers will be provided with boxes for classroom items. Teachers will be responsible for packing their classrooms and instructional material, but will not be required to move items to the new classroom. I love that, especially since we had talked about workman's comp injuries and things like that. So I think that that's great. One of the things that I wanted to ask is, especially because testing going on, like all the way up until close to the end, maybe a day before the end of the school year. And we know that teachers are still getting switched at that point. And we know that sometimes there are occurrences, because we said that you guys would make every effort possible. If there's a way that if something happens and the teacher has to come back during the summer, or if it goes past that, if we could add some language that says teachers who are asked to move during or after the last contractual day will be compensated for up to 2 days to pack. So that way, if we have to come back in the summer to pack up our classroom because classroom switches or something happens and we have to come back to pack, for teachers to be paid for that time to pack.
Chrissy, you're giving your language and now you're adding more.
No, because I was thinking about what you were saying about people working and with workman's comp. If I have to come back to the classroom and I get hurt packing my room, I'm
It's not
technically,
packing the room, putting stuff in a box isn't where we see the injuries. Where we see the injuries is I'm trying to pick up a box that I overpacked and then
So,
move it.
I
So-
understand what you're saying, but I'm gonna tell you something. At Christmas time, I scratched my cornea putting a paper up on the door. Paper actually came down, fell between my glasses and face, and scratched my cornea.
Okay, this is our offer. This is our offer. I mean, I do think that teachers and principals work out other things to do that, to put it in the contract. This is what we're willing to do. I mean, at this point, I think we've spent a lot of time on this. This is our offer.
I mean, she was really passionate about bringing that part forward, especially the idea of workman's comp, getting injured. And as somebody who had worked in retail a long time, the Kmart rule, you're not supposed to work off the clock. Yeah, I think, we're good on that.
If someone goes in off the clock and gets injured, they're not covered by workman's comp.
You're covered, but you're on our
You are
campus, you're on
covered,
campus.
you are covered.
Yeah, you are covered.
Okay,
The only time you're not covered when something happens is you're off the clock and you, like, maybe you didn't sign out, and you left campus and you got in a car accident. That's why you sign out when you leave to say where you're going, you know. that's why there's processes, they cover you to make sure everything's fair, but you go in on a day off and you get injured, you were on campus, that's still covered.
That was a concern that we had.
I'd like to say we need no injuries. So that's
We
why you
need
just
you back.
put your stuff in a box, you write the room that you're going to and your name, and then they miraculously appear in your new room.
Have you looked at a teacher's cabinets?
Then that teacher needs to clean. What's it called
Great comment.
now?
Landslides?
Find the doings.
No, what's it called, border
Oh,
minimalistic, we should just have.
Marie Kondo that.
Yeah.
Marie Kondo that classroom.
Find your joy or whatever.
Yeah.
Does this bring joy?
This one?
So 34 is next.
I'll do 34. That's the supplement.
Yes,
So we discussed it in groups here. We appreciate the fact that you recognize the hard work that has been done by these teachers at these schools. In recognizing that also, we know that it was written for full-time. So we do recognize the tier levels going down making sense. We appreciate that the teachers that have been there, that are continuing to teach full-time will continue to have that supplement that they've been receiving at the 14%. And then it staggers down. And we do understand new people coming in will be at a different level, as we discussed. So the schools that it impacts, you went through the 3 IB schools, PCCA it gives, and then the conservatory up in Tarpon High. I don't believe it's one. So did I miss one?
no,
No,
Yeah, I think this, yeah, that was in the original language, so we're running down on this, and I believe that we were in agreement with this, is that correctly?
we are, it was, it's complicated.
it is complicated.
It's so, and it has been in place for a very long time, and this is 2025, we have to address the problem with people working part-time getting full-time benefit.
And there are many excellent magnet programs my children went to,
Yes.
Bogey, with the medical magnet, and I know many teachers work very, very hard. So in recognition for everyone working hard, you know, it's important to even these out to a status where they should be in 2025.
So
Well, the only adjustment on here is, oh, that one's fine, never mind. We had a word that we had fixed, and I didn't think we brought the right copy.
You find the word, can you send it over? If there was a.
No, it wasn't.
wasn't. Great work supplement committee.
We are 36, we're proposing that we liked the consistency through it, but we're proposing to say instructional employees instead of just employees, if that's the term that you want to use, that we have that.
it's consistency.
Yeah. Yeah. So are we prepared to talk about 36?
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to point out one thing. Originally, we had proposed the idea of the adding the language about the medical marijuana. And I've been looking at the school board policy in 3124, which is the drug-free workplace policy. It's there. If we could just modernize it to include the idea of this newish. And I know that
Modernize the district policy?
the district policy to make sure that we include this substance.
Medical cannabis.
Yeah, the medical cannabis that, other than that, as long as it's covered in the school board policy, then I just want to make sure that we can go ahead and pull that out and not make it a thing that should get a copy.
But I can't agree to
I
what
know,
policy
I know.
would say,
I know.
okay,
I
so
understand.
that would just need to be something that. Legal to start on.
Absolutely.
Okay, on 6, we want to take out the first line, but we're willing to keep the second line. The first line about 1 day, the cases that go through OPS are oftentimes way more complex. We do agree if no decision is reached after 10 days, the employee should have some type of communication saying that it's still being considered. But we recommend on 6, we eliminate the first line, keep the second line.
The problem with 1 day, letting the teacher know is,
Well, discipline decisions must be issued within 1 day of the decision being determined by that. First off, I don't understand exactly the wording. But-
Sharing the determination.
once you.
But there's always some things that happen. You have to coordinate calendars. OPS might be booked that next day. The principal might be off on a principal's meeting. So sometimes it takes a day or two to be able to coordinate. Sometimes it's your schedules. Coordinate everybody's schedule to get it done. I mean, what I think we've committed on 3 is saying, and we're already doing that. You know, we don't want it to be painful for employees. But we also don't want to, tie anyone's hands. I think the first part of that's impossible to agree to.
So let me just put it in context a little bit. There's 2 OPS administrators. There's maybe 13,000 employees. They do employees, they do volunteers, they do contractors, they do complaints from parents. They deal with
Substitutes?
They deal with substitutes, and to pin down 1 day after they sit down and make a decision or kind of make a decision or discuss an issue, and we think that's unreasonable.
They also review applications.
Yeah,
So
they
when
do applications,
come
they
in,
do-
so I know what you're saying is there should be some immediacy or urgency to giving closure to the employee, which I think is fair. I think, hopefully you're seeing that but it is 2 people. But I think if it's going to take longer than 10 days, that's a fair request.
I'm fine with striking that sentence.
Don't start with it.
Yes.
But if no decision is reached every 10 days,
Yeah.
if the employee meeting with OPS, the employee will be notified that the decision is still being considered.
You want to just write that in and
And there would be- You are including 3 in there, right?
Oh,
The first one, right?
no, it's what we do anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
So how about if we sign this, but we'll
Clean it up.
clean it, we're gonna add discipline referral, we'll take out that sentence, or do you wanna wait and sign it once we clean it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Which one?
Either one is fine, it just has to have the cleaning.
Oh, wait, we didn't discuss the second page.
There's nothing on it.
No.
It's just the word back pay.
Well,
We're sure the contraction was just 2 words.
originally it was 2 words and then the editor said, make it 1 word.
It's just clean up form
And
and stuff.
you're okay on the employee
Instructional employees.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think that was 1 word or 2 words.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker.
I didn't do it.
I'm not-
Okay, I helped him.
I'm not sure if those guys, I'm English.
I don't know.
I don't grade papers for that. Thank you.
We're not last.
27.
13, then we sign 18, and then, the 34. Whatever that is.
Right, so 27, we had agreed that the two activities would not, they would be on weekdays, not exceeding 3 hours in length. We rejected your request about the parent conferences. Again, for the same reason as before, I think teachers are in control of where they schedule that. I did do a little research on PMPs, talked to a couple of schools, and it's definitely something that I had them when I was principal, and every child had one there. I think it was just a way of work. At my school, I never really heard any concerns about it. But what I did hear from the schools, I talked mostly APs as they handle it mostly, is that it is in the teacher's control. They do, they can schedule it at different times during the day. And so, you know, I didn't get the feeling that it was something that you needed to address through comp time. Oh, and we agreed to I think it is, no, to R. Grades will be due 1 working day from the last student day. Which I think it kind of said, but. I know you're still looking at that. The other thing that was a consideration was the scope of work. I think when you compare well, Dan's not here, Brennan's not here, I think he's an English teacher. 150 kids where you're doing an English thing, and you have to have parent conferences with that volume. We don't do comp time for that level of volume with elementary. They have 20 scholars and they have to do PMTs. You know, I would say those would be more comparable than not. When you're having 20 conferences with families, if they all come in, which may or may not be.
Yes. Yes.
I originally proposed language regarding when those activities will be posted by either in the
Which
pre-service. N.
Oh, yeah, we had rejected that in the last meeting.
So I wanted to ask, would it, maybe that is a you know, very, you know, short time period pre-service, but would 30-day notice, something in that range, so that teachers could plan for childcare, for different things like that, you know, just before the activity, after school activity.
So tell me your thinking on that, because at most schools, those activities are agreed on by like a leadership team of them and communicated when you.
It says that, see, during the preschool period.
That's what they.
That was your proposal, agreed upon.
That was our
That
proposal.
was our
Were you accepting that, or you rejected that?
I mean, it's, my worry if it's done right away. I knew it. That's in there.
It's the next line. there.
It's an error. What did they add? Or they added something? Now this is.
So we-
Schedule will be posted prior to-
You're in a hand, right?
Where's your new language? What did it say? Yeah, that's the contract.
Which one was it?
Again,
27.
Be posted.
yeah, I can talk over here. No, but
That's the one.
Third one, yeah, I got it. And you wanted
A sentence in the middle.
the schedule to be posted prior to the end of the pre-service period.
That line you want to.
Well, we agreed on weekdays, we agreed on 3 hours of length. It does say during preschool, administration teachers develop a tentative schedule.
That repeating.
We're not trying to take that out.
But it's the red line in the middle.
Right, the schedule to be posted prior to the end of the pre-service period. I mean, I think schools talk about what those activities are gonna be at the beginning of the year. I don't think they're sprung. How would you spring an activity on something not being able to notice? Give me an example.
Yeah, it's already in.
I don't.
Yeah, part of
a
it's just.
specific example, but I've heard of.
I can give an example, it's not the first school that I'm at right now, but at a private school that I worked at. There was a dojo message that went out about, it was like, for the parents to come meet the kindergarten teachers, for the kindergarten or something like that. It was the parents saying, hey, come meet the kindergarten teachers. At that point, I was a kindergarten teacher, and I was like, hey, that's me. I was never notified by my administration that I was supposed to attend that event. So I wasn't, like, it was very last minute.
Which is a poor planning because kindergarten roundup, all those days are decided by the district.
But if it was posted at the beginning of the school year, or we
It
were
is.
notified, yes, it is, but if they were required to notify us of the dates of all these events at the beginning of the school year, then that wouldn't have been an issue.
Yeah.
It would match the calendar, timeframe too. It would make it easy. That's.
I think that things change.
No, it makes strange.
They did, that's what I said, tentative schedule be posted just to have.
But it says that,
That's
yeah. I mean, I feel like we'd be writing language for either a new principal or somebody where it's snuck up on them because that's, like, we already know those dates early. Is there any other example or is that?
I mean, like, I'm thinking, like, I know in years past, we would always talk about, like, we would have sign up sheets for events at preschool saying, okay, we're doing like a fall, carnival or whatever, or, science with Santa, and then we would go around and we would sign up. But the last couple of years, like, I haven't seen a sign up list at the beginning of school that says when you're doing it. And I think, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think it would be beneficial for not just teachers, but administrators as well. And the reason why I'm saying that is because all of a sudden, there's now an event and the administration is sending out emails. Hey, you haven't had your weekly, or not weekly, your night event yet. You still need to come to your night event. Well, if you had that information at the beginning of preschool and you knew that you had this October event coming up, that's kind of on the teacher, like that's already planned. You knew that you signed up for it.
The hard part on that though, Tracy, is sometimes schools will schedule things, like we scheduled a DAP fair. And just recently, we had to change it because of a conflict that came from the state. And so sometimes I think things end up adjusting. I think what we do is we leave the language because we have language that says we'll try and do it, and then Mr. Viggio can get up in front of principals and say, this came up at negotiations. You know, these are some ways that were shared, the sign up and some things, to get them thinking about it early on, because if you're a new principal or you're not thinking about those things, you're thinking about preschool at that point. But he can get in front of them and just say, the teachers felt like this would be helpful to know in advance to schedule. Some teachers have second jobs or you have childcare issues. I don't think that's unfair, but I think the language we have says that we will try and do that. already, and I think we leave that as is.
I'll just add too, the tentative schedule, just thinking of a high school. I got a home football game and we make the playoffs and I would love to have some more people. I don't know that until 2 days before, right? The band concert that's gonna go on in December. I know it's sometime in December. We have a lot of days, right? The choral concert, there's too many other events. The vast majority of the time, you're given to a point grace of signing up for something that fits your schedule. And so the number of opportunities is going to expand throughout the year. And I don't know that even many principals don't go through with the fine tooth comb and say you didn't get your second event. They have the right to do so, but they're trying to give grace and options. If we've tied it down to, here's the 3 options you got in the fall and here's the 3 options you got in the spring, it slows it down. I don't think that's necessary, but I need from principals, like, make sure you make to your point. Didn't happen this year, probably could have said, hey, don't forget to sign up for events, we got a lot of options, but options grow throughout the year, so.
Plus, I think, like I said, I think it would help with administrators because they would have their events covered.
Not all the events they have on.
Yeah.
The time of preschool, though, I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
No, I understand. Yeah.
Yes.
He wasn't making fun of his, I heard. It's like hard.
And it's not.
We have one article on financials. So the one where you were.
Article 14, you want
Yeah.
to?
Oh, yeah, you're gonna bring us something else.
Was 14 the only outstanding?
Yeah, okay, so you have to have that. Yes.
Yeah, we need to write that out and get it done so we can send it over. Great. That's all. So far.
It's something a little easier to get in and out of.
So we're gonna work on the 14 on the link is there, get that cleaned up and. We need. Some financials. To understand what the costs are. What's still available and what's gone on. Sure. Gary's looking forward to this. I do know that the CPI right now in the Bay Area is 3.3%. I do know historically we've been offered 3.25% again, year after year. As seen almost the last CFO's plan to continue with that pace. But I'm going to ask for 3.5% and do a cost out and see what we can do.
So teachers have already gotten a minimum of 4.07, a maximum 8.26. For an average of 6.79% with the raise that's already in those. Outside of that.
What raise?
The raise that's already in everyone's paycheck.
The referendum. Pointing out that the referendum is the child of PCTA. And we carry not all of the work, but the bulk of the work for that. And I just want to emphasize that the money that is in the paychecks is not coming from the state, because the state has woefully neglected what's going on. And it's not coming from the district at this point in time, because the district is injured. The referendum money, I mean, I signed a check to hire the lady who ran the referendum campaign, Ms. Beth Rollins, an amazing person. Our members were, including me, sitting in parking lots day after day, passing out the signs to make sure the referendum was passed. And I just want to make sure that we acknowledge that it's not a raise that came from the district or from the state. It is money that we were able to get the taxpayers to agree to support the people, the educators in Pinellas County, and not just the educators, but also the support people, which I was delighted at, although one of my members once yelled at me about that because I was not focusing every penny on the teachers. But I do understand we have to take care of the neediest in ways that we have not been. And the state needs to take better care of the teachers that are out there. It's not something you or I have control over, but it is something that needs to be pointed out. And the numbers that are there, we have added some, not a lot of cost. We've tried to avoid adding cost to the contract wherever possible. There is some cost in there, and I don't have the final numbers. Gary, I don't, Mr. Jefferson, I don't know.
There's costs in there.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know what the totals are at this point in time.
So I think that it's important to recognize that when the state authorizes funds to go to a school district in the state of Florida, they do not provide the funding for that full amount. So there is the FEFP, Florida Education Finance Program calculation, that the state or the legislature works through to identify what portion, well, first to identify what the total funding will be for each school district, and then separately to identify what portion of that funding the state will provide and what portion of that funding will be derived from local property taxes. The same group of individuals that voted for the referendum increase in November. So in the case of the FEFP, nearly 2/3 of those funds are pushed down to the local level, and local taxpayers pay or are levied for that portion of the school district funding. So when we talk about state calculated amounts for a school district, let's call that authorized or initiated funding. But in no way is the state providing the majority of funding, at least in the case of Pinellas, to the school district. So the referendum and the local portion of the FEFP both come from the exact same individual. So it's not that a portion is being of an increase is potentially being given by the district, or most of any increase that or any compensation is being provided by local residents, right? So it's hard to differentiate that a portion is restricted in its referendum, it's a piece, and a piece is authorized by the state. It's again all provided, majority provided by the citizens of Pinellas County.
Right. But from what I understand, the school taxable value has gone down tremendously in our county.
The school taxable value, property tax value went up by 1.1% between last year and this year, with the assessed values that were certified on July 1st. So there have been several different versions of the estimated taxable value in the county. And that goes back to what the state believes those values are, and there's 3 or 4 different versions of that from back in when the legislature first started their session to show the certified values that came out on July 1st. So the July 1st values show a 1.1% increase.
So I'm just gonna, as I said at the very beginning, I'm just gonna be really honest. We are not in a position to be anywhere close to that. What our proposal is a 0.7% raise, which would take the average raise to 7.5% for all instructional staff. And we also propose moving the base salary to the minimum, which I know was important to you. But that's a stretch for us already. And the 0.7 is because the state specifies a certain amount of money to go into raises. Otherwise, quite honestly, I don't know if I'd be coming with that. But I do think it's important just to stress what Gary's saying. We think of referendum as this different pot of money. It's no different than the normal raise you get. It's grown right here, paid for by taxpayers. What we all were able to do is just say our teachers, speaking to this group, are more valuable and we're willing to tax ourselves just a little bit more, but the money is the same money. We get very little from the state. And with our declining enrollment, our increase in insurance of $20 million of unexpected costs with hurricanes and all those other factors, we don't have more money to propose to you.
If I'm correct, the TSIA money for our entire county is 2.8 million, which is
0.7
increase.
2.827255. Our $2,827,255 is what I had. Is the TSIA money given from the state to us, to Pinellas County, and that is pathetic.
which is the 0.7%.
Yeah.
And if you remember the very first day we met, I said, we're looking for any wins with language, because this is a year financially that trust me, we would if we could. I'd love to be sitting here with a different amount, but that is what we have.
I think we both came into this with our eyes open on how bad it is financially.
The nice part about it is, it would be very hard for me as a classroom teacher to say a 7.5% raise this year is a bad day. I mean, and our higher end is a 9% raise. The lowest end is gonna be just under 5, which is a good raise. And I want to remind you, we do feel that there will be a bonus, if you will, of any additional referenda dollars, because we have to project that. And that's based on number of teachers. And as you know, we have reduced number of teachers, which means your referendum amount goes up. We do expect to be able to give that out in like December and the end of the year. But again, we won't know that exact amount until we get closer. But they have been looking at it and feel like there will be money for that.
And what we're required to do, right? IC Rock oversees that, and the funds that are designated to go to teachers will go to teachers.
If you just used the phrase IC Rock, if you're at home and you are not sure about what that is, it's an independent committee that reviews our referendum money to make sure it gets spent exactly the way it's supposed to. And that's one of the things that has shored up the positivity around our referendum, so that we know that it's all being spent the way it's supposed to be spent. The IC Rock is a really good organization with an amazing reputation, and they do make sure that everything is done properly. So that's, if you were unfamiliar with the phrase, I wanted to, give them the credit for that. We do an amazing job on the referendum here in this county.
I just say something, I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify like something for maybe people that are watching about sort of like the limitations of the property taxes, is it kind of seems like, well, we're not getting enough from property taxes, but the state does actually dictate what percentages can be levied by the school board, correct?
Yes.
So really, in a sense, the state is tying our hands from what we could collect from the community. The community's done a tremendous job supporting us. But that funds are being stifled by the state. And to say it any other way, I think misrepresents that the fact that the state is damaging our education system. And it absolves them of the responsibility that they're not fulfilling. And to me, the Constitution is not being fulfilled. Education is not being adequately funded. And I would love to see our school board speak out against that. I would love to see more communities coming together, more counties coming together to demand our state do more for us. That's all I have to say.
And I would just reiterate that from the school district standpoint, we don't participate in the calculation of the school district budget that is provided by the state legislature through the FP calculation, and so that is simply provided to us with the appropriate village rates, which are approved.
At this point, I'd like to be able to get the numbers at least from what we have, and we have it on the meeting for next week. We should be able to the week after. Oh,
We had talked about potentially meeting on Wednesday, since Tuesday was the school
that's
board meeting.
really.
And I'll leave that up to you and Mr. Biggie to coordinate whether or not we want to do that. I did discuss with Mr. Hendrick trying to close this and potentially doing a TDE for your team so that we could meet on that day if it's clear. But I know it's hard to be out of schools. And so I know that's a challenge.
We looking at Wednesday the 10th. What's the time for?
And I think it could be like potentially an afternoon.
Monday the 8th. We agreed to try to get next week, just Tuesday afternoon with the board.
Yeah.
How about Monday afternoon?
The training here.
We could do it at our place. Our keep quiets down around 4 o'clock.
Do that for at the time.
Hmm?
I'm doing a presentation to them about the changes there and. It's 6 p.m.
I'm old in your voice, so.
Okay, I'm sorry. At 6 o'clock that Monday, I'm doing a presentation at the high school. About some changes impacting the high school.
We started maybe at 3:30.
But yeah, they started.
One article. I mean, we start, I don't know, some of your schedules might not be able to get on Monday the 8th. We could start a little bit.
And I could see if somebody else would cover from this one.
On the 8th, still.
I need to.
All right, let's do the 8th.
I think if we started at, can you do like 2:30?
I can't.
Hmm?
I can't.
In your team,
I don't have stores.
what time are you out?
I get out of school at 3:15, or 3 and 30.
3, you could leave, so we can start at 3:30.
3:30. All right.
You said here is not available, so come back to us. That we're thinking.
Yeah.
What I can do is try to move to a spot, like we want to run around the corner, it might be a little quieter. I don't know if it's booked, but I'll figure it out. If not, we'll go to the noisy room.
Can you be specific on what you want, costed out? Do you want everything, the cost of what we've agreed to now?
Yes,
And if there's other specifics, you'll reach out to your Dave or.
absolutely.
Okay.
Always found them very forthcoming, easy to work with.
So 9A, 3:30, our place. The room will likely be P134. I can ask the folks to quiet down out there. If not, we'll move to a different space down the ground.
There's nothing tough, you can go out there and make them.
It's very cold,
Leave that
I'll tell you
cat.
that.
But I like to get construction done.
So that's gonna be Monday, is that?
Monday the 8th, yeah. Does
I'm sure.
that work?
We ever finished this early in the year?
Last year.
No, open book.
We're not
right,
done
so
yet.
he's here.
And an open book, yeah.
Open book.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, you won't have to go to timeout at the state, but there's.
That's what we're trying to avoid.
You know what? Let them call me. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and shut these down. Thank you all for everything.
Pizza.
Pizza.
Where?
Good night, Jeff.
Pizza.
No, I think I need to.